Welcome back to All Folks Racing PlayStation. Welcome back to the World Grand Theft Championship. We continue to be in round 3. That's in Algarve. This is race 2. We already had race 1 completed. Jorge Jesus was a dominant winner. And again, we should have some good racing as usual with the 4 GTE GTE. What a beautiful machine that the old folks are going to tame around this Algarve circuit, and it's Diogo Silva and Jorge Jesus on the front row, followed by Cavall and Darren Head, Dale Taylor and Simon Allen, John Scott and Gonçalo Mota share the 4th row, Scott Davis and Jumbo the 5th row, and then it's Sid Waters and Peter Adrian. We lost a couple of drivers from race 1 to race 2, and look at the start now, and what a start by Diogo Silva. Diogo Silva is going to be the leader of... sorry, that's Jorge Jesus. I apologize. Diogo Silva is in the black car, and he actually got a disastrous start. He's in 3rd place as Cavallan takes 2nd place, and the top 3 are exactly like the top 3 when they finished. And here is Taylor side by side, I believe, with Simon Allen, and everyone has a 0 in the next to their car, which I've never seen. Look at Gonçalo Mota. Wow! Gonçalo Mota and Simon Allen, they tangled at the end of the last race, and Gonçalo is having none of it and goes on the inside of the hairpin and up into 5th spot as where is Gonçalo Mota? Well, we don't have the leaderboard. He's in 4th spot. This is the replay from John Scott. Simon Allen has had a poor start. He was bumped in the back by Gonçalo Mota, who had a faster start. Now this is in turn 1. There's 3 wide there with the Diogo Silva on the inside. They opt for 2 wide wisely, as Gonçalo now in John Scott losing quite a few positions there, as someone else is on the inside there. I believe it's Jumbo, and then Gonçalo Mota, this side by side between Delta and Simon Allen, and Simon pushed back and back to the outside, and here comes Gonçalo Mota in a bit of a banzai move, but well, fair enough. Well, there was a bit of contact with Simon, but this was, I think he was entitled to that move. This is the replay from Peter Adrian's perspective. He's at the back of the grid, and he sees, well, basically 11 4 GTEs in front of him, as, well, he was very behaved there through the first corner. No spinners. There was a driver there trying to recover some ground, which was, I believe, it was Sid Waters, and now Peter Adrian going side by side and then overtaking another car, and I'm not very sure who that car is, currently in the last position. So, there was a bit of contact here. No, almost. Well, the last driver, well, it's still Peter Adrian. No, it's the leaderboard is wrong. I believe it's Sid Waters and John Scott both had poor starts, as they continue to battle furiously in this Algarve second, and we do hope that the leaderboard... there's a bit of pushing and shoving there in the last section, and I can't quite figure out who the driver is here on the left-hand side, but we'll hope that... the leaderboard seems it's Scott Davis. Scott Davis has had a very poor start as well, and he's currently scored in last. And Cavallan from 2nd place. Cavallan from 2nd place. He just zagged when he should have zigged. He's trying to press the reset button, but it turns out that Cavallan drops back to last because it took him a while to be able to reset the car. So Diogo Silva up into 2nd place, Darren Head up into 3rd, and Darren had a horrendous race in race 1. He got a drive-through and then spun in turn 1. Now he's up into 3rd place, and he's trying to put some pressure on championship leader Diogo Silva, that is currently in 2nd. Then it's Gonçalo Mota and Simon Allen again, trying to get to the same piece of real estate. So I wonder, after contact in race 1 and already contact in race 2, if we won't have a 3rd time lucky type of situation. Let's keep an eye on those two, as Sid Waters is up into 8th place, followed by Peter Adrian. Peter has a good start there, up from 12th, and Scott Davely, incredibly, has dropped down to last again. John Scott very interested there in attacking the driver in front, and that's Peter Adrian. Battle there for 9th spot, and Scott Davely, something must have happened to him, which let's see if we can find out what it was. He's in 10th spot. Ooh, Peter Adrian is almost spinning in front of him, and and there's going to be contact there. And and the contact, another contact, and this is why Scott has dropped back to last again. Let's see this from Peter's perspective, as he was very focused there on Sid Waters there as well. He just runs wide there. Now he's a bit out of control. He tries to come back into the track, and Scott was right there coming, and two separate contacts, and Scott is down to 12th now. Peter Adrian also down, well, to 9th, because something happened to John Scott. We couldn't quite see what it was. John Scott also lost time, so not quite sure what happened to John there, as he's dropped to 10th, and Kev Allen is still in 11th, of course, after that self-inflicted spin on the previous lap. Now Dale Taylor also has had a bit of an horrendous time in race 1, and well, these two are at it again. Gonçalo Mota in 4th, Simon Allen in 5th, and Gonçalo is going to try very hard to keep Simon behind. Simon seems to be coming with more momentum now on lap 2. John Scott in 10th spot behind Peter Adrian and behind Sid Waters. Behind these two drivers, there's Kev Allen and Scott Davely, who got delayed by various incidents, and Darren Head is putting pressure on Diogo Silva. Diogo having none of it, just shutting the door there. We are still on lap 2, so 10 laps to go still at the line, but Darren can see the victory, a potential victory in there, as Diogo Silva seems to have not the pace that Darren can produce at this point, and the problem is to find a way to overtake cleanly around here. Maybe some of the breaking points a few moments ago, and I suspect it's going to be again Gonçalo Mota and Simon Allen. Yes, and that's going to be, well, contact very similar to what we saw in race 1, as Del Taylor is trying to take advantage of that battle to try to overtake Simon Allen. This was a good damage there by Del Taylor, and he's now on the inside to the last corner. This is tricky side by side through here, is tricky, as they actually just found out that Simon Allen has to go wide. Now they are running side by side into the start finish line, and this is absolutely top class racing, as Del Taylor is on the inside, Simon Allen on the outside, and it is Del Taylor that they try to run side by side, and well, Simon Allen clearly was off the track there, and I don't think we have track limits in this. And Del Taylor actually spun. Del Taylor actually spun with that contact, as they were trying unsuccessfully to run side by side in turn 1, and many have tried and many have failed, and Del Taylor again on the back foot as he drops down to 9th spot. He has, and look at that, a mistake there by Sid Waters, and immediately he goes into 8th place. So Del Taylor, look at this is Darren Head and Diogo Silva. They have tangled already in this championship at Indianapolis. So we'll keep an eye on these two. They tend to behave, but now the heat starts to get into this championship really, and of course they are still both chasing the Piston Cup for 2022. Darren has a comfortable advantage at the moment, but Diogo will definitely want to be ahead of Darren Head. So look at that, they are now going into defensive mode, and one guy that must be loving this is Jorge Jesus Roger, as he is known in this group, is absolutely loving it, because they are both trying to overtake. Well, they're both trying to get to second position, and it turns out that they're just both probably losing a little bit of time, and George is using that to his advantage, already more than 2 seconds ahead in the lead of this race, and could be a perfect round for George Jesus. He already won race 1. Now the end of lap 3, and Darren Head is very close indeed. Can he make a move into turn 1? It seems to me he's far behind. And he's made a mistake, and he spins very similar to what happened in race 1, except that he ends up on the right hand side of the track and not the left hand side. A disaster again for Dan Head. Does he lose any positions? No, he does not, because Gonçalo Mota in 4th is right behind. We'll keep an eye on the people behind Gonçalo, as well, as I think that the collision between Simon Allen and Dale Taylor, actually Simon Allen has lost a position. Well, Simon Allen has lost a lot of time. He's in 7th, and he's been overtaken by Jumbo and by Sid Waters. Sid doing a great job there in 6th place, now trying to resist the pressure. And Simon Allen hits him on the back there again, and Simon Allen is going to spin, Is he going to hit anyone? No, but he does lose quite a fair bit of time, Simon Allen, and he loses that position there. He only drops down to 8, so a few other things have happened here that we have not necessarily seen. So Peter Adrian has dropped back quite considerably to 10. Scott Davey is not having the race that he wanted, because Simon Allen just spun and only lost 1 position. He lost 1 position to John Scott. John is up to 7th now, so good consistent run by John Scott. That's a bit what we're used to, but now we have a 3-way battle for 7th between John Scott trying to hold off both Allens, and this is Dale Taylor and Peter Adrian battling now for 10th spot. Dale has had the problem that we saw, he spun in turn 1 after contact with Simon Allen, and now he's in 11th trying to get back into the top 10, and Scott Devley is there at the back, so he's not too far behind. He's still in the mix for this battle for the top 10 in this race, as another lap is complete, and Dale Taylor is absolutely trying to go around Peter Adrian, but Peter is having absolutely none of it. And good job here, good racing between these 2 drivers so far. He's trying to go defensive now, because Dale Taylor has a chance to go into the hairpin on the inside, and that's probably what he's going to try to do. No, he backs out of it. He was probably a bit too far behind, and he should wait for a better opportunity, as we are on lap 5, so approaching the midpoint of this race. Let's see how things are going to evolve here. Simon Allen and Simon and Kev Allen, they both have overtaken John Scott, so they are both again in 7th and 8th, and close battle there between the Allens, and often this has been a source of carnage. Let's see if they can behave, as Simon Allen goes a little bit off track there. But 7th and 8th is probably not where the Allens wanted to be, especially Kev Allen after a 2nd place in race 1. Is mainly in this position because of that self-inflicted spin on the opening lap, or maybe the 2nd lap. Now he runs wide there, Kev Allen, and loses time and loses potentially an overtaking opportunity, because Simon Allen now has better momentum in the last corner, and certainly is going to be able to keep for now that 7th position. We'll keep an eye on this battle, as Dale Taylor is Dale Taylor is now in the mix to go up into 10th, and he's going to try to overtake in turn 1, which is a very tricky affair. And yes, he finds out it's very easy to outbrake yourself into turn 1, and someone has crashed there. Someone has crashed there. It's Simon Allen. Simon Allen is involved in it, as Peter Adrian almost contact there with Simon, but manages to go ahead. So Peter Adrian up into 9th. Simon Allen has had a problem and is down into 10th. Where is Kev Allen, and was he involved in it? He probably was involved, because he's still in 8th place, but now he's and this is what happened. Between the Allens. So this is Simon Allen, who running a bit wide there, always running a bit wide, and Kev was coming. Well, to be fair, Simon was slightly off track there, and came back into the racing line. Not an obvious overtaking maneuver for Kev, because he was probably a bit too far behind, but he saw Simon off the track and decided he had to go for it, which is understandable. So probably a racing incident, but one more racing incident there for Simon Allen, one more racing incident involving the two Allens, and now Dale Taylor is all over Simon Allen. Simon Allen down into 10th, Dale in 11th. Kev Allen maintains 8th, up to 7th is John Scott. Remember, both Allens had overtaken John Scott, but now with this incident, John Scott is back into 7th place. Let's look at the gap at the front. Is 2.8 seconds. And Diogo Silva now with a bit of a cushion over Darren Head, but Darren, remember, was faster in the early stages, so we may still see a battle for 2nd place. As Dale Taylor down into 11th. Simon Allen is off again. Simon Allen is off again, and where is he? Where is he in the screenshot? He is behind. Simon Allen is again not having the race that he wanted, as he is going to disappear. Well, he just disappeared from the screen. What happened here? It's the curb. Oh, the inside curb, and now he's a bit of a passenger. And almost collecting Kev Allen there, and Simon Allen probably just needs to calm down a little bit and not try to drive this car so hard. This is a car that requires a little bit of subtleness when driving, and that's when you get the most speed out of it. And this is one man that knows how to get speed out of this car, especially in this Portimão circuit. It's Jorge Jesus. He's looking good for a double win here. We are already in the second half of this race, and Jorge Jesus is absolutely bossing everyone around here at Portimão. Diogo Silva in 2nd place. Let's look at the lap time, shall we? And Jorge is faster as it stands than everyone else. Darren Head and Diogo Silva making identical times, as Darren Head now is trying to recover ground to put himself in a position to attack 2nd place, but is not looking very easy to do that, as Gonçalo Mota retains 4th place. 5th is Jumbo. Nice job by Jumbo. Nice job continues to be by Sid Waters. He had a good first half in race 1 and not so good second half in race 1, which is unfortunate because the second half is the one that probably matters more to determine the finishing position. But he's now in a good 6th place, and he actually has a bit of a cushion over John Scott, Kev Allen, and then we have Peter Adrian now being attacked by Dale Taylor. These drivers continue to be 9th and 10th. Scott Davely is up into 11th place, and Simon Allen, after multiple incidents, is down in 12th, and he still has a few laps to recover. And of course, pace is something that Simon Allen never lacks, and we shall see how he's going to progress through the field. But he does need to make fewer mistakes if he's not going to finish in 12th place in this particular race. And it's so tight, the competitive racing here in All-Fault Racing PlayStation. You have drivers here that are very fast indeed. Drivers like Dale Taylor have set very, very fast times with this car. Kev Allen was in 2nd. He finished 2nd in race 1. He's now in 8th, and running wide there is Peter Adrian. Is feeling the heat from Dale Taylor's car. Dale just needs to maybe just do this section close enough and then just dive on the inside of the hairpin. Well, I'm not sure this was intentional or unintentional, but he was lost control there for a second. Recovered nicely. Nice save there by Dale Taylor. But the result is that he wasn't able to attack Peter on this particular lap at the hairpin. Lap 8 out of 12. The hairpin proving to be a good overtaking spot. But you do need to be almost side by side by the time you are braking. Peter is trying a little bit hard there. He's driving this car a bit hard, and especially in the second half of the race. That's not very advisable because the tires are no longer in their perfect state. The car starts sliding a lot more in this Algarve circuit, and especially if you use the curbs, it's at your own risk really, because very quickly you can lose control of this Ford GTE. Dale Taylor tries to get closer there in this final section of the Algarve circuit. He's trying to be close to Peter Adrian on the very fast right-hander that ends this lap, and maybe trying to get the move into turn 1. The leader is already on lap 9, and we are entering the closing stage. Look at this, nicely there through the right-hander is Dale Taylor, and now he's absolutely in the mix. And he tried to do this a few laps ago to Simon Allen, and it didn't really work. Can we actually see an overtaking maneuver in turn 1 that actually works? It seems to be a novelty. But Del Taylor runs wide and almost spins, and again it shows how difficult it is to control this car when you are braking on the inside line, and we've seen multiple drivers try to do this. Del Taylor has already tried it twice. Diogo Silva tried it in race 1 with Gonçalo Mota and it didn't work, and we are yet to see a move that in turn 1 that actually works and does not result in losing control of your car or carnage or spinning into the pathway of another driver. Certainly we have had a lot of that, and now we have the twins, the green twins, battling it out for 6th place. We have Sid Waters with high consistency, but he does not have the same pace as John Scott. John, of course, with a bit more experience as well in the All Volks Racing PlayStation, and already a race winner in this in the previous championship. As he is now trying to get into 6th place and was almost achieving that just a couple of corners ago, but not this time, and he's still waiting for the right time to make that move. Kev Allen is in 8th place. He's running behind these two drivers, and look at this now. John Scott has John Scott, nice exit there, and he just needs to go around this corner just flat out and then try to slipstream. The drafting effect is not as high as some people expected with this car, so that's why it's difficult to get that momentum to go side by side or before the braking point. Now he's thinking about it, but really there is no way that he could have made a move, as Sid Waters does run wide in turn 1 just as many others have done. This is Del Taylor. Dale has been running behind Peter Adrian for a while now and unable to make a move, but now John Scott on lap 10 seems to be finally, he's had a good exit here. He's right on the cusp potentially of making a move as Sid Waters goes defensive. He's too far behind and has to wait for the next available opportunity. He tries to go round the hairpin side by side with Sid, but Sid was having none of it and has in fact a better exit from the hairpin. It's try again for John Scott. He still has a couple of laps to execute this move, but he's running a little bit out of time, and everyone, I suspect, is running out of tires as well. Let's look at the race leader. Well, the race leader has been absolutely smashing it, more than 4 seconds now, so I think that Jorge Jesus is really well positioned to make it a double win here, and clearly making a statement that he is a candidate to win this championship. As a collision there between a bit of a bump and run between Del Taylor and Peter Adrian. They are still running side by side, and Peter has the inside. And now bumps Del off the road. But to be fair, Del also bumped Peter, so I'll take it as 1-1, and now we need to have a tiebreaker between these two as Del Taylor loses quite a bit of momentum. Well, what is this? Scott Davely. Scott Davely has dropped back to 12th, so really not having the race that he wanted. He does not like it here at Algarve. He's had much better runs with this Ford GTE. He also had that incident with Peter Adrian that made him lose a lot of time, and this field is so tight that if you have an incident where you lose time, you probably have a hard time recovering, but he is actually recovering. And now Simon Allen finds himself under pressure. Simon Allen running consistently wide there in turn 1. The tires are probably gone, and now here comes Scott Davely on the inside of turn 2. Didn't quite work, but his battle is not over. As you can see, All Volks Racing PlayStation, as we always say, has battles through the field. These guys are battling to not finish last, and we have here one champion of All Volks Racing PlayStation, that's Simon Allen, and both of them are race winners as well. So, and someone has gone off there. It's Del Taylor. Del Taylor, the driver that looks like a Ferrari, has lost it, and I suspect it was on his own at the exit of the hairpin. This curb, this yellow curb, is definitely not recommended as a way to make the corner. If we had penalties, it would generate a penalty, but more important than that, you just do a little jump with this car and you just lose a lot of composure, and that's what happened to Del Taylor. He's still in 10th place, but now Simon Allen and Scott Davely. And Del Taylor again runs wide and he runs into the gravel. Now Del Taylor is going to drop to last, and this is what I was mentioning. Look at this, just a couple of small mistakes, but you cannot just afford this. And Del Taylor, after not having the greatest run in race 1, now these tires are gone really, and he's trying to overdrive this car as Jorge Jesus is now on the last lap of the race, and it has been a perfect round for him. He's the boss. JJ the boss is going to finish again ahead of everyone. And a few moments ago, this was 67. That's Sid Waters and Kev Allen. I wonder what happened to John Scott, but we'll find out in a moment, as Kev Allen is, well, everyone is pretty much locking up big time. As everyone is trying a little bit to go into overdrive mode. Look at Sid Waters there defending, but now Kev Allen has done a bit of a dummy and he's going to go on the inside of the last corner. Now what happened to John Scott? He's behind this driver, so he's down into weight. So something happened to John Scott. Something happened to John Scott, but he's reappearing now. He's resuscitating from the ashes, and now this is going to be fun because Kev Allen has had a poor exit. Here comes Sid Waters on the inside of turn 1, and this is when we are going to finally see a move that works in turn 1. We'll take it because although they both outbreak themselves, this was actually Sid Waters gets the prize for the only move in turn 1 that we saw work on the inside across 2 races. But these drivers are, well, the last lap now. Sid Waters has a poor exit there, into the back straight, and here comes John Scott as well as Sid goes defensive. But Kev Allen is having none of it, and contact between these 2 drivers. Kev Allen loses momentum, but John Scott is not able to take advantage of that yet, but he's very close to Kev. The race is almost over, and again George Jesus is going to win, but there are furious battles still going on behind them as Kev locks up again. He's still in 7th place, but what a nice job there by Sid Waters. He lost 6th place, but then he recovered with a very good move indeed that probably gets our prize for the best move of the race, because it was the only one that we saw working in turn 1. Jorge Jesus, JJ the boss, is going to win this race, and he takes the checkered flag. Diogo Silva, a good 2nd place for him as well, retaining the points lead in this championship. 3rd is going to be Darren Head. He did recover some ground to Diogo Silva, but not enough to create a challenge for 2nd place. 4th is going to be Gonçalo Mota, and he's going to be happy about that result. Nicely done there by Gonçalo. Very good race indeed. 5th is going to be Jumbo again. Mr. Consistency has done it, and look at this for 6th place. Is it Sid Waters, Kev Allen, or John Scott as they cross the line nose to tail? But it seems to me that it's Sid Waters in 6th place. And look at this. This is smoke coming out of Sid's tires, or is it Kev's? I don't know. This is the replay of the last few corners of this race, and Kev Allen really almost out of control there. And nicely done there by Sid. He wasn't he was under pressure, but he was responding very well to that pressure. It's not easy to have a multiple race winner and multiple champion in the person of Kev Allen. And now look at this, is coming to the racing. Well, they're coming to the checkered flag. Poor exit there by Sid Waters, and Kev still is going for it, but I think Sid is gonna take it. Is he going to take it? Yes. Sid Waters in 6th, Kev Allen in 7th, and John Scott in 8th. 9th is going to be Peter Adrian. 10th is going to be Simon Allen. 11th is going to be Scott Davely, and 12th, disappointing result for Dale Taylor. There is the confirmation of the results, and what a round it has been for Jorge Jesus. That's it from Algarve. We'll see you in Monza in the next round.